Hello everyone! A state can only function if their people follow certain rules, but the problem is that, by nature, people often tend to breach these rules. So what can be done to prevent this from happening? Different methods are used in different countries, and some of them are incredibly ingenious. Today we will tell you how police officers in the United States scare dangerous drivers on the road, what they do in China about homeless people, and how Sweden fights against the addictions of their citizens. But before you start, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, because we have many interesting videos in the future. Let's get it on! Optical illusion. Both pedestrians and drivers know very well what crossings are for, but not everyone takes them seriously or notices the presence of a crossing on the road. Neither huge traffic signs, nor fines, nor surveillance cameras help. But in some countries, they found an ingenious solution to this problem. For example, in Medford, a Boston suburb, a young student from a local school had an innovative idea to help the city. He proposed to draw a three-dimensional crossing on the road. It looks like it really hovers over the asphalt. Any driver will stop when they see the sign because no one wants to crash into a mountain of concrete bricks. By the way, this kind of crossing can be found not only in the United States. For example, they also appeared in Esavur, Iceland, in New Delhi, India, and in some European countries. It turns out that street art can not only be beautiful, but also useful. Scary billboard. There are many creative and not so creative ways of dealing with smokers in different countries, from fines to terrible images on cigarette packs. However, the latter do not seem to work at all. Nicotine addicts laugh when they see these images, instead of being scared. On the other hand, each person is responsible for their own health. But when it comes to the health of the people around you, that's a different story. In order to protect people from the effects of secondhand smoke, a Swedish pharmacy chain in Stockholm decided to install these creative billboards. They were equipped with a secret weapon, smoke detectors. So every time a person nearby lights up a cigarette, the device sends a signal to the system, and the person depicted on the billboard starts coughing painfully. And after that, the screen shows some remedies that can help nicotine addicts to get rid of their addiction. For many smokers, this can be irritating, but some of them will probably think about their future when they see a stranger with lung problems. What do you think? Will this social advertising have any impact? Painful obstacle. You may have noticed that in all countries, homeless people like to sleep under bridges. No wonder. After all, it's warmer and is protected from bad weather. In addition, they are expelled from there less often than from protected areas such as city parks or stations. However, not everything is so simple. In the Chinese city of Guangzhou, for example, the local authorities have devised a way to turn the place under a bridge into an unsuitable place to spend the night. To do this, several sharp cement cones were placed on the surface. They were placed so close together that an adult cannot even sit between them, let alone sleep in this place. However, if the homeless person has any knowledge of yoga, this will not stop him. After all, masters of this discipline even manage to rest on nails. By the way, the locals have been ambiguous in their reaction to the innovation. Some found the measures taken by the municipal authorities too inhumane, but the authorities responded by saying that the homeless not only sleep under bridges, but also cook food, which can pose a risk to the safety of others. Incredible bridge. It can be very difficult to get drivers to slow down on the road.
Fire up the roof.
But Uruguayan architects have succeeded. They decided to build a bridge over the picturesque Laguna Garzon, where you could theoretically travel forever and at a reasonably moderate speed. The bridge is shaped like a perfect circle. There's even a path for pedestrians and cyclists inside it. According to the creators, this type of bridge will not only reduce the number of accidents, but also allow drivers to enjoy the impressive view out of the window during the trip. The main thing is not to get too distracted. After all, they have to look at the road as well. But of course, you won't be able to spend several hours driving on this road while meditating. The car flows are delimited in such a way that they cross only on the regular part of the road. Tricky buttons. Everyone wants to be in control of the situation, especially when it comes to our time. That's why we get so nervous when we're late while on the subway. After all, the speed of the train is not controlled by the passengers, unlike pedestrian crossings on the road. In many modern cities, they are equipped with special buttons. If you press them, the traffic light changes color faster. Do you think this is true? Well, studies show the opposite. In fact, in most cases, pressing the button has no effect on traffic or waiting time. If that were true, there would always be a mess on the road. Why do we need these devices then? Simple. People like to think they can make a difference, especially when they are late. But now you know, these are placebo buttons. Smart benches. How can a regular bench be improved? The main thing is that it is clean and not freshly painted. That is enough. But the founders of a new company called Sufa decided to take this element of the urban landscape to a new level. They have created a bench that allows you to charge your phone or any other device with a USB cable, and it runs purely on solar power, so it's completely environmentally friendly. In addition, the benches collect information on the state of the air and other environmental indicators, which they send to the city administration. And the company's official website can even show where each bank is located, how many phones have been charged today, and how many people have used the benches. The only problem is that you can't lie down on a bench like this, and something tells us that this is also part of the idea. Evil bench. They say that money can't buy happiness, but we all know that having money is much better than not having it. We all want to buy quality products, go to our favorite artists' concerts, and treat ourselves with beautiful things. The only problem is that you have to pay for all of this. This is exactly what the German artist Fabian Brunsing wanted to express in his work. The installation he created is a simple bench with an unusual feature: iron spikes on the boards. You can only remove them by putting a 50-euro-cent coin in the special coin slot. But this is not the end of the story. The design, which was conceived by the German artist as a satire of capitalist society, appeared in another country. A similar object was installed in a city park in Shandong, China. However, it was slightly modified. Here, the spikes would only appear if the person sat in the same place for too long without moving. According to the idea of the authorities, this will encourage citizens to be more active. Desperate times call for desperate measures. Scaring thieves away. Not every person and business owner have the means to install an expensive surveillance system, but there's a much more ingenious option: installing fake cameras. This method is used by many people who want to scare off thieves, but don't want to spend too much money. And this strategy can work very well with amateur thieves. On the other hand, experienced criminals are more difficult to fool, as they can identify whether a device is fake or real just by looking at it. In addition, the law in many countries requires business owners to place a special sign on the door, indicating that the interior is under video surveillance. If this is the case, of course. And that means that when installing fake cameras, the business owner has to lie not only to the criminals, but also to the state and his own customers. And the moment the camera footage is actually needed, they'll have problems explaining it. Background music. You have no idea of the psychological tricks used by different companies to influence the behavior of their customers. Take, for example, coffee shops. In some establishments of this type, when the end of the shift approaches, more lively music starts playing. For example, metal with noisy guitars and shrill voices. This soundtrack increases the chances that visitors will go home and the staff will not have to forcibly escort them. But authorities and business owners in the US, Canada, and the UK use a different strategy to fight criminals and other unwanted visitors. You won't believe it, but to keep them away, they use classical music. It has been established that in places where Mozart or Vivaldi's works are played at full volume, the number of crimes decreases considerably, and not just by a little, but by 33%. In addition, visitors also begin to interact with the staff in a more respectful way. Now, do you believe that music has a direct effect on our brain? Fakes on the road. The work of a policeman is not to be envied. You have to respond to emergencies, conduct patrols, and search for criminals. Obviously, with so many tasks, it's impossible to control all the roads. That's why the police use very clever tricks. For example, in English-speaking countries, so-called ghost cars have been used for many years. Empty police cars parked on the sides of the busiest roads that help reduce the number of accidents. Even though there are no law enforcement officers inside, the mere thought of their presence makes drivers drive more carefully. And in Russia, they chose a more economical way. Instead of real cars, they decided to install cardboard models. In the middle of a snowfall, you can't be sure whether it's real. Besides, some schools were equipped with children's cutouts to warn motorists that they are approaching a potentially dangerous area of the road. Up close, of course, these fake cutouts look funny, but practice shows that they can be really effective.
Hold on a second. Do you want to see some crazy stories from real life? Nothing dull, only action. Only adventures, chases and fights, love confessions and sudden betrayals. Don't believe us? Follow the link and see for yourselves. Our animation channel Private Diary reveals the deepest secrets. Don't forget to subscribe.